this event, we have a property tour at 11:30, and it's going to be live in Orlando as well as streamed online. And then there's other communities within the community, and there's different events that they hold as well. So one thing, you will never be bored if you choose to join our community. You just get on our calendar and there's something to do almost every hour. Like we say sometimes in our introduction, it's like, real estate Netflix on steroids. So always something to learn, pretty powerful. But again, as I mentioned, we have people across the country and different stories. One of the things that I would really like to point out is I've never been part of a community that has so many inspiring stories. I think we empower people when you get in here. It takes a special person to be able to come in and go, I want to learn. Let me roll up my sleeves. Let me, study. Let me network. Let me figure this out. And we have attracted some incredible people. And that's why I love my library of coffee and conversations. The stories are amazing. And today we have the special opportunity to I'm just going to have a chat with our guest, and I'm going to bring her out in just a moment. It was funny. Like I always like to say before I start these are not planned. Sometimes the coffee and conversation is someone I know pretty well. And sometimes it's someone I just sort of know online or, I've met a few times. So I was speaking with our guest last night, Candice, and she said, I don't know what I'm going to say. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say either. I just get up in the morning and start psyching myself out because we have such incredible stories and such inspiration that it just flows. So we are going to have coffee. Grab your coffee or your tea, and we are going to chat, and then we will have some Q&A. So I would love to bring out our guest, our featured guest this morning. Good morning, Candice. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am doing well. I still have a bit of a scratchy throat from my cold, but I'm going to work with you today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It doesn't sound as bad as I thought that you said last night. So you must have been drinking your tea and your honey.
Yes, I think I've drank about a gallon of tea in like a day. It's been a lot.
Oh my gosh. Well, you look lovely, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. This is special. So, as I mentioned, again, I guess I've been in the community almost 7 years. How long have you been in our community, Candice?
Yeah, it's been about 7 years.
Okay, perfect. And you were originally, and again, I'm just going to ask her questions and we are going to get this party started. I don't know all of these things. Were you in Chicago? Where are you originally from?
When I first signed up, I was in Indiana. I had just got there as an injured, actually, I was still active duty at the time.
Okay.
So I knew that from my injuries, I was not going to make it in the military, and I was trying to find another avenue. And I found the community through Craigslist by just looking online and trying to find out what can I do from a hospital bed, because I was just so messed up. So that's where I found the community, was on Craigslist.
Wow, that is incredible. Well, let's back up a little bit before that, and then we'll go back to that. So you had mentioned to me, I believe when we were setting this up, and this is really all the conversation that's been had about this, but you went to, was it medical school or what? Let's go back to that for a quick moment.
I have a crazy story. Okay, so yeah, I actually started with trying to be a doctor. I have 2 degrees, which you can see a bunch of my stuff behind me. So I have 2 bachelor's of science degrees, one in pre-med biology and another one in chemistry. And I was on my way to being a doctor. So started med school, and I was like, yeah, this is the way to go. And
recording in progress.
Oh, okay. And then I ended up joining the military while in med school because it was so expensive to go to med school. I mean, I was working 2 jobs. I was trying to figure out how I could make ends meet. while also studying to be a doctor. And, you know, those great recruiters are always outside of every location where kids are going to school at. So I was like, okay, you know, what you guys are giving to me sounds good. You said I can continue to be a doctor while serving in the military, and you're going to pay for it. It's going to be free, and you're going to give me money. Looks like win-win for me. So, of course, I ended up enlisting. I could have went and started to be an officer, but I did know a few people that were in the military, and they said that the most respect is those that go enlisted first and then become an officer. So that's what I did. I started in with becoming an enlisted soldier. I became a specialist, did a few years as enlisted. I did not like that side because people are always telling me what to do, and I don't like to be told what to do at all. I was still going to med school while then doing that. Same year that I became an officer was the same year I actually dropped out of med school. I was doing my residency. I was finishing up with that, and it was just one day it hit me that a lot of these doctors, they have the financial freedom, but they don't have the time freedom. And I wanted both of those. I wanted to have both time freedom and financial freedom, and it wasn't going to give it to me as being a doctor. So I prayed about it. I wasn't sure which direction to go, but I was just like, this is just not going to work for me. My
Wow.
family thought I was crazy. They were like, what is wrong with you? You went so far, you've made all this time spent in school, all this, you know, you have to get all these loans, these student loans was building up. So I had all these student loans built up. I think I was like over $120,000 in student loan debt.
Oh my gosh.
It was bonkers. But of course I was in the military, so I was like, they'll pay for it. No problem. So that same year, a lot happened that year. I was married. I ended up losing my my husband that year, became a single mom that year, and got injured that year. My injury was pretty extensive. I fell out of a helicopter.
Oh my gosh.
And broke some bones, had some head procedures going on, which I still struggle with today. So I do have frequent migraines and dizzy spells, and there's times where it's like I need to just lay down because I fell from about 30 feet in the air. So it was no fun. But that year it was like everything went from I thought I knew what I was going to do to not knowing anything about what I was going to do. I had a 3-year-old little girl, which she's now 10 and downstairs trying to do all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, Jada, just relax for a minute.
You can come say hi later.
Yeah. Well, her hair is like a Afro puff. So. But yeah, she's my rock. And, you know, she has brought me through this quite a bit. Like I had no idea what I was going to do. When I got injured, I didn't have any family that was nearby. I just had either military friends or people that I kind of passed by in the military.
Right.
So it was all kinds of people that was just watching my daughter, and that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I went from thinking that I knew what I was going to do to not knowing what the heck was going on with myself or my daughter.
I cannot imagine falling out of a helicopter. I mean, 30 feet.
Yeah. And it was recorded. So one of my now my close friends has the recording of what happened. It's crazy, but yeah.
So gosh, how long was it when, I mean, I guess that you had like the shock of that, and then you're like, okay, that probably took a bit of time to kind of get your bearings before you realized that you were really faced with some decisions.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty immediate that I felt like I was faced with some decisions because the military told me, oops, we hurt you, but we're going to have to let you go now and peace out, you know.
Oh my gosh.
So it took a while. I actually didn't even become 100% disabled until last September. And I was fighting that tooth and nails. And the reason behind that is another story. Part of my story is because I actually was diagnosed with brain cancer. And once they found the brain cancer in the same area that I had the lesion from my head injury,
Right.
the military was like, well, it has to have been part of the military injury of some sort. So that's when I got 100% disabled, which helps a lot. You know, when it comes to my daughter, she's now taken care of for the financial or medical, dental, vision. You know, if she needs to go to school, she's good with that. But it was scary, you know, just trying to figure out how to make ends meet. Now
Right.
going from a 2-income family to a 1-income family, and now I have this little girl that's looking up to me, and it's like, I'm injured, I don't know what to do, you
Oh
know.
my gosh, I can only imagine. Thank you for your service as well. And I'm
Yeah, thank you for your support.
grateful that you've got that now, that's, I mean, and Jada has that. So that's a blessing. Okay. So you're in the hospital. You're like, all right, this is, wow. I went from medical school to, to, I cannot imagine. I'm super impressed with your story. So, you saw, had you, during all of this time, as you were growing up and as you went through the medical school, then you enlisted, did you ever have an interest in real estate investing or any? Yeah, I didn't either, but I didn't.
No, it just kind of happened. And I remember the day that it happened. I was actually in the hospital bed. I had my head bandaged up and everything.
Ugh,
And I was just scrolling through my laptop, just trying to find out what people can do to build wealth without working really, really hard hours. And a lot of the things that kept coming up was either invest in real estate or do it yourself. So I was like, okay, well, I like HGTV. I wonder if that'll work for me. So I started doing some research, and I came across some things like you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and a bunch of books and fortune builders, things like that. And I thought, okay, let me invest in whatever I can invest in. And all of that was fail. All these books that they send to you, they're old, you know, they don't update themselves because they're books, you know, but
right.
it was really, really difficult because I was trying hard to find out what I could do from a hospital bed without any other support, without any knowledge of real estate at all.
Right.
And I just kept trying, and I kept failing. I would say I was failing forward at that time because I didn't want to give up.
Good. And yeah, you really had no choice. You had to keep pushing. So how long was your recovery getting out of that hospital bed? Just,
I was in the hospital bed or bedridden for 7 months.
wow,
Hmm.
that is incredible.
And I'm drinking my tea right now. So
Good. Keep drinking tea. Yes, that's good for you. Wow. Okay. So you tried and looked around, and what was the pivotal moment, or who did you saw this Craigslist ad, and did you get started with our community right away, or what was there anything I'm missing between the 7 months in the hospital bed to taking a leap of faith with our community?
yeah, so I started with just trying different methods. Of course, like I said, reading the books, attempting to do different things. One of the things that I researched in the very beginning was that you could be a real estate wholesaler from you know, wherever, and not knowing what to do, and well, without taking a lot of risk, maybe I should say.
Right. Right.
And it was a lot of books and a lot of information, and YouTube. I was the YouTube queen, trying to find out what it is that's out there. There's so many. I'm telling you, everybody has a YouTube channel about
I,
wholesaling and real
I
estate.
know.
Everybody. And nobody knows the A through Z. So they'll tell you A through D, you know, these are the steps to get this far. And then you
Right.
pay $3,000
I
to
know.
go to my workshop. So that's where I was at. I was like, okay, all these stupid workshops that I've gone to, all of these online things, YouTube for forever, I wasn't finding anything. So of course I found our community on Craigslist of all places. And I was like, already skeptical because I've spent, I don't know, thousands of dollars trying to invest in real estate and was already spinning in the hamster wheel of getting nowhere, like just
Right.
eating money. And then, of course, they're like, oh, yeah, this place is the best. It has growing education. And once you're a real estate investor, you're always a real estate investor. And we're going to help you. And I'm like,
Right.
fine, just like everybody else is. But I'll think about it. It took me probably about 5 months of going back and forth with the person or people. It was a couple people that was trying to get me to come on. I
Right.
went to a couple of the events, the free online events that was going
Uh-huh.
on. It was a lot that I couldn't physically go to. Like I was in Indianapolis, which is
Right.
really close to our Chicago location,
Right.
about a 3-hour drive one direction, but I couldn't physically go there.
Yeah.
Every time they would say, oh, there is something free going on, I would try and tune in. But I knew that without investing, I wasn't going to get anywhere.
Right.
Of course, me, at this time, I was trying to be cheap. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out with YouTube and these books. I wasn't getting anywhere. So long story short, I ended up trying, dipping my foot in is what I like to call it, of the first package that's available, the essentials. And I was like, if I can lose a little bit, it's not as much as losing a lot.
Right.
So I tried that. And immediately I got connected with one of the mentors that was out in North Carolina. And of course, I had just got shipped from North Carolina with the military. So I was like, okay, I'm familiar with North Carolina. I don't know this girl at all. She seems very nice, but let's see what she's talking about. But she supported me so much that within, I think, the first 3 or 4 weeks, I was able to do my first wholesale deal. And that profit was $10,000.
Wow.
And she didn't charge me anything. She was just a part of the community. And with her support, I felt like, okay, wow, there are people that actually care, that's not going to charge me an arm and a leg addition to the education. So I was like, okay, let's continue to give it a shot. So I invested that $10,000 back into the education, and I upgraded myself to more education because I felt like, at the bottom line, you're getting the basics. Essentials is literally the essentials. It's the basic information to get you started with being a real estate investor or a business person, but it's not going to give you the hard evidence that you need to be able to succeed where you want to succeed.
Right.
And I knew that, but of course I didn't want to give that. I couldn't give my heart to it because I've already been bamboozled by all these other companies and
Right.
YouTube. So
Unfortunately, it's pretty overwhelming out there when you
it
just,
is
and you
very,
click on one thing and then hundreds of things come at you. It's like,
oh yeah. What do they call it? The click for dollars or something like that? Oh
yeah,
yeah. Somebody on the back end is getting paid by you clicking all these things.
it's crazy. It's very overwhelming. I can't even think a thought now without everything coming at me. It's like, wow, everybody's a coach these days.
For sure.
That is so incredible. I love this. So we have a lot to go. This was just the beginning.
I know.
So you thought, okay, this might be the place. So tell me at that point from that first deal, that was, incredible. And really hats off to you for deciding to take that and invest further so that you could get those exit strategies and that knowledge that you needed. Because so many times people just can't get out of their own way. And that it would have been so easy for you to say, oh, wow, I've got this money. I need this money for this, or this to survive. Right. So I'm very impressed and amazed with that and grateful because now we get to be friends and do things like this together.
I know. I miss you.
I miss you too. I hope I get to see you next weekend in Atlanta.
Yes, it's definitely going to happen.
Nice. All right. Well, so you did that first deal. What did you decide to do from that point? Did you, obviously you had a lot of studying. I mean, there's so much curriculum that we all have at our fingertips.
Yes. I learned really quickly by, again, a bunch of the individuals from the community that it's best to invest in yourself and immediately implement what you're learning. If you are like just trying to learn the information, like just go through all of the modules or go through all of the information and then say, okay, I'm going to try this, it's
Right.
gonna work out. So one thing, and I'm not very good at finishing all the modules, because it's like, okay, Mark Kohler just told me to do this, so I'll stop the module and then I'll go out and I'll do what I'm supposed to do, and then I'll come back to the information. But I started implementing the education right away. I still had support from the individuals in the community. I would just start communicating with everybody. If I had a question, I would just call or text or email or Facebook someone that's a part of the community and just start asking questions. And
Nice.
that's one thing that it was putting me outside of my own bubble. I am a super introvert, believe it or not.
Wow.
I do not like to talk about myself or my story or even ask questions. I am like the little mouse in the corner, just paying attention to everyone else. And that's it. Like, just leave me out of it. But I knew that asking questions to those that maybe already been through it, that's already been through the trenches, is important for you to be able to make those moves without falling through those trenches as well, or going through those trenches as well. So I started asking a lot of questions. I knew that wholesaling was where I needed to be in the beginning because
Right.
of my injuries. I was still going through a lot of recovery. I was a single mom. I had no idea what to do with this little toddler. And I was very dedicated to her and her needs.
Right.
So the one thing that was really important to me is to receive the income that I needed to support her without spending 40, 50 hours a week doing whatever job it was.
Right.
And I can honestly say that since I started real estate, well, as an investor, I never had to work more than like 20 hours a week. I learned how to make the systems work, and I'm still learning. I'm still very coachable. I'm still trying to figure things out. But
Right.
those systems, putting them into place, can help you to be able to work very little hours, but make the income that you're looking for if you just follow the playbook. There's already playbooks that is provided within the community. You just have to follow them. Don't try and reinvent the wheel.
Right.
That was my problem. I was like, oh, this worked for one person, but let me try it this direction. And quickly, I learned that that doesn't work out. So, yeah.
That is amazing. So you, how long did it take you to get, say, to your second deal?
Within the first 3 months.
Okay.
So I still was working on the wholesaling. The first deal, she was extremely hands-on. And I'm
Okay.
not saying her name for a reason.
Right.
But she was extremely hands-on with supporting me through the deal. But then the second time, she was like, I'm going to let my hands off and let you figure out how to work this, but I'm still going to support you. It's kind of like when you're riding a bike or you're on the 2 wheels for the first time, your parent is kind of there to support, but not letting you, she wasn't going to let me fall. But she didn't want me to rely on her to figure it out, because otherwise I would never learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it took a while for me to figure out how to understand the numbers, what the important parts of why we want to negotiate this number and then resell at this number. How is it that we can work in that gray area where, because we're not licensed realtors, and still be legal and be able to still go to the closing table and get a profit. So it took a moment for me to figure it out. But once that second deal happened within 3 months, I was off and rolling. And every month consistently, I had at least one deal that first year. And the second year, it tripled. So every month I had at least 3 deals consistently wholesaling. So at the end of the first year, I was ready to do more. I wanted to do fix and flips, because the person that was my mentor, she was doing fix and flip. She was known as the fix and flip queen in North Carolina.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I can do that too. That seems fun. Us ladies, we can make it happen.
Right.
And because and she kind of warned me, and I never admit this to her, but she was like, you're not quite ready yet. And I was like, I'm ready. I can make this happen. But my first fix and flip deal was a flop, I would say, because I was never able to sell it. And that was because I didn't know what I didn't know. She kept telling me, you're not ready yet. You want to stick with what you know, master this, and then we'll move on. And I was like, I got this. I'm great at wholesaling, which I didn't realize I wasn't all that great. So my first fix and flip deal, I still own it to date because it became a rental property. But I thought I was going to be putting $40,000 into it. I ended up putting $85,000 into it because I didn't know what to look for, which is crazy. I bought in the wrong area. It was an area that I thought was supposed to be transitioning. Didn't know who to talk to, didn't know the right people to connect with.
Right.
It never transitioned. It's still very interesting, to say the least. We are the nicest house in the whole area. Let's just say that.
Oh, nice.
But we have a fence around the house and it's very secured. And it's a great rental property, but it's just not good for resale. So we've attempted to resell it every year since I've bought it. I bought it 6 years ago.
Wow.
So I can't sell that thing.
Even in the crazy market we've just gone through, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, location is important.
Yeah. So how were you doing at this point through all of that, like with your physical health and all and your recovery? Were you okay?
So by the time I got to my first flip, I felt like I was strong enough. I was actually walking again and able to move around. I have several pictures where Jada was there at the property with me. So it had been a year, I would say a year and a half since the injury probably closer to 2 years since the injury had happened.
Right.
The date that I had started doing this flip. So yeah, so quite a bit of time had passed and I was strong enough to attempt to commit to my first deal.
Right. That is amazing. That is amazing. So that's interesting that you still have that first flip. And thank you because that's the thing that I love about our community and for all of our guests on, we want to hear all the good, the bad, if we're all real and honest, it's not all roses and sunshine. It just isn't. So that's very cool. So, all right, well then you're like, I guess at that point you're going, I spent more money than I wanted to spend. What happened next?
Well, the good thing is, and I learned this through the community, is that I did not have to use any of my own money or my own credit to purchase this property, which was amazing.
Right.
But I still had to pay it back. Despite that, I didn't use any of my own money. I still used someone's money, and they're not going to be like, oh, well, yeah, it's fine. Let's, just keep that $100,000 that I just gave. No. So I still had to pay it back. So I made myself whole by, of course, understanding the importance of contracts. Because if you structure a contract a certain way, you're not going to lose. And the person or company or individuals that you borrow the money from won't lose either. So we structured a contract to where we both ended up winning. They are now completely whole with all the money that all the money they invested in me or my company.
Right.
And now I'm getting profit from that property as a rental property, which is great.
That is great.
I learned how to do velocity banking for the first time based off of this property because I wanted to make sure that I put myself whole immediately. I didn't want to lose an investor that was going to invest their funds in me because I couldn't pay them back.
Right.
And that's super important. So I did what I needed to do quickly.
Right.
And
This is an incredible pivotal point, it sounds like to me, because again, somebody could say, oh gosh, this is just too much, or get overwhelmed with the situation and stop, or
mhm,
become maybe fearful or whatever. I mean, it's human
right.
nature. It's like, so that's incredible. That you turned it around that the way that you did. And velocity banking, um, do you want to tell everybody kind of what velocity banking is that may be on the line that doesn't know?
I'm not really good at explaining
Okay.
it. Maybe you can
Okay.
explain it.
Well, yeah, we have several classes in something that we call velocity banking. And just to dumb it down is it's a strategy where you can pay off debt, amortized debt, student loans, mortgages, car notes. It's using a different banking product pretty much. I like to say you don't have to eat beans and rice. You don't have to work 3 or 4 jobs. You just learn the strategy, and you're basically, using a different banking product. It's pretty incredible. We have some amazing stories in the community of people that have just come in and focused on that to begin with. So we did a coffee and conversation with Sherman Lisa Chris, who paid off, like, I don't know if you know them, $286,000 during the pandemic. That was all they knew. They didn't even have a community to go to.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you thought, and resourceful that you had invested in this curriculum and you decided to use the tools that are there. Okay, well, now I'm in this situation. So what am I going to do to make this work? So
Right.
super proud of you.
Yeah. The great thing is that I learned from these tools. If it wasn't for the education, I wouldn't have known how to get myself out from underwater with this with that property,
Right.
with that investor. Um, and I didn't have a regular job that was bringing in income, so I had to figure it out. I was just an investor and an injured veteran.
Right.
So yeah, but it's possible. People say, "Oh, I can't do velocity banking, or I can't do the strategies of velocity banking because I don't make 6 figures or
The
whatever their excuse
regular,
is."
yeah. Yeah. I've
I
heard that a
With
lot.
the military income that was coming in from my injuries, I was barely bringing in $20,000 from that. The rest of my income was coming in from, well, I guess wholesaling, you know?
Right.
So that was it. I was using my funds from wholesaling and paying off chunks to that investor, or lender, maybe I should say that, to
Hmm.
make myself whole with them. And it wasn't overnight, but within 2.5 years, I was able to pay them completely off and was able to keep moving forward. Now, it took 2.5 years because I wasn't making a lot of money. I had one income, I had a child who
Right.
I ended up putting into private school, which I thought was the best thing ever, and it was super expensive, but then I learned how to make that a tax write-off. So then I got her some T-shirts when she was little that said "Mommy's best tax write-off." Because
Oh,
it's like I learned how to do all these things. Her clothes were tax write-off, her lunches, school clothes, everything that she needed. I was like, "Oh, yeah, let's make sure we put this on the special card." So it was a lot of tax write-off, but I learned this through the community. If it wasn't for the education of, this community, I would have never known what to do. And it did not start off with me figuring it out in the very beginning. It was like, I would say again, failing forward. Um,
right.
in the beginning, you're paying out a whole lot of money, and then after you're doing your education and talking to people, you're deciding, okay, either you're gonna keep moving in the same direction that you were moving in before, or you're going to learn how to implement this into your life and make your lifestyle better. And that's where I started doing things.
That's incredible. I mean, the tools were there.
Mhm.
You just had to use them.
Mhm.
So that's very inspirational, especially for someone just getting started. And if you feel discouraged or just open up your back office and figure, what do you need today? That's incredible. All right. So you're still in Indianapolis at this point. I'm trying to create a timeline here. So so you had that deal. Did it take you a while to go on to the next deal?
Yeah. So like most people, you want to give up. I was like, okay, let me just go and get a regular job. I'm giving up. This is not for me. She was right. I was wrong. I would never admit to it that she was right. So I continued to try and wholesale, and I did go and get a 9-to-5 job.
Okay.
I hated it. After you get a taste of being an entrepreneur and
Yeah.
doing your own thing, you do not want to go back to a 9-to-5 job where somebody's bossing you around or telling you what to do and telling you what time you need to go to lunch, how long you need to be,
Oh,
when your breaks are. It's like, oh, this is awful. And then I was losing that time freedom that I was looking for.
yeah.
I completely lost that because now I'm spending 40+ hours at some office in some cubicle with stinky people that I don't like. So it lasted maybe 3 months, I want to say. I did let my mentor know, maybe I'm just needing to back out of the community. It's not for me. It's not going to work for me. I'm going to go into a job. And she was like, you're an idiot. And I'm like, I need money. So, unless you're paying me and being my pimp, I don't know what to do. So I did do the job. It lasted all but 3 months. I hated every bit of it. And then I did contact her back and I was like, please tell me what to do. Tell me where I need to go. Tell me what I need to do to make things work. Keep in mind, I had upgraded myself from the essentials to the AIT at this point.
Right.
So I was in the middle package, but I wasn't really putting it to work because
Okay.
that first flip was a flop and I was already very, very discouraged. I'm now working a job. I'm still taking care of a toddler and, Indianapolis, don't know what to do.
Right.
I don't have any family in the near, my closest family members were my parents and they were about 2.5 hours north of me. So it was still just me and my daughter.
Right.
And I was trying to figure things out. So I told her after 3 months of working this job, the job is not for me. And I was like, I thought that real estate wasn't for me, but I need to figure it out. So tell me what to do. So she told me to start back over with the basics, start over with the essential stuff, get my LLCs and incorporations and everything together, start with that, and then we'll blossom. So I started all the way back over. And when I did that, I actually learned more with the education that I completely skipped or missed. It's very possible that you could read a book or listen to a podcast or even watch a movie. And the first time you didn't see that joke or you missed that information. But the second time it's like, oh, I had no idea that he was wearing red shoes and whatever. So that's where I was. And I went right back into wholesaling. And that's where I ramped up with wholesaling. I started making 3 or 4 deals consistently every month and building that income. And then I begged her, I was like, please help me with this second deal. And she said no. And I thought for sure she would say yes, because I knew more. I was now. I was ready to go. I had built more funding. I had built more knowledge. And she told me no. And I felt defeated because she told me no. So I was like, what do I do now? Again, I'm ready to give up because the one person that I thought was supposed to support me told me no. And I didn't know why. So I started talking to other people around the community. I ended up partnering with some other individuals for my second deal, which was good and bad at the same time because it was a profitable deal. But because of the partnership and not knowing how to structure my contracts properly and look for the certain things, again, kind of putting myself back into the same situation second time, it ended up flipping, but I did not get much profit from it. I only got like maybe $7,000 after 3.5 months of that deal happening. And that was because I didn't structure it properly. I let them structure the contract. I
Right.
didn't even look at it. I just kind of signed on the dotted line and was like, yeah, whatever you want, let me do it. Put a lot
Right.
of blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it was just, it was okay. It was a learning lesson. These individuals I still communicate with because it's not really their fault that I didn't do my due diligence.
Right.
But I learned, again, failing forward, how to make sure to take care of myself.
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do is fail forward.
Yep,
Super.
you gotta fail
And
forward.
you've mentioned contracts several times. We had one of our instructors, Nicole Call, do an intensive for us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was incredibly valuable. Just, I don't, I get a lot of times people will call me, can you give me your contract? Can you give me your contract? And it's like, no, hello, everything. So it's very valuable to learn this yourself. So it's probably a blessing that you were told no, and you had to keep failing forward.
Yes.
So, to me, because I've seen your success now, and it sounds like that was a blessing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely was a blessing. For a while I thought that my mentor I kept wanting to blame her, but
Yeah.
it wasn't her fault because she was
Right.
trying to teach me. And I'm very hard-headed. I'm like, this is what I want. This is what you're going to give me, and I'm going to get it. And somehow I'm going to get there. So I get very tunnel vision with that, but I did learn some hard lessons through the very beginning. And the one thing that I can give to everyone is just never give up. You want to fail, because if you don't fail, you don't know how it feels to fail. You don't know how it feels to not know something, or to learn something else based off of what you didn't know before.
Right.
So I just don't give up. I may slow down. There's times where, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I could not do a flip. I could not be on site. And it was hurtful because I felt like I was failing myself and I was failing my daughter, but I did not. I kept moving forward. It was slow, like a turtle, but I kept moving forward. And that's one thing that people always should do. Just, keep moving forward no matter what. Remember your why. Remember what made you get into it, what made you invest in the first place, what made you have an interest in the first place, and just keep moving off of that.
Right. Exactly. So how long you had, I think, what year, when were you diagnosed with the brain cancer?
It was March of last year.
Okay. Cause I remember hearing that and, supporting you. That's just unbelievable. So you had a big span of time before that occurred. So, which I'm super, not to go backwards, but I didn't know that it was going to be related to your injury. I'm just like super filled with gratitude that you've gotten that resolved and you have. Anyway,
Yeah.
squirrel easily. But, so, all right. So you learned, you made 7,000. What happened next?
So I kept moving forward. I did my second deal. It was okay. But again, that's what made me stop doing partnerships for a while.
Yeah.
There was a couple individuals that had asked me to do partnerships, and I was like, no, I'll try it out myself. So so I did my third deal that same year, and it was pretty successful. I made like $30,000 profit off of that third deal. It was literally lipstick on the pig. I found a property that was foreclosed and went into that, painted it up, new flooring. I think we put some shingles on the front of the house and resold it, and that was it.
That's
Excuse me.
awesome. I want to bring up a point. So we were at a property tour together. I guess it was last year. I don't know. Time seems to be flying. But I've always been amazed at your interest in the complete full rehab. And
Mhm.
so we've had conversations together where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not, so that's impressive.
All those ugly houses.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've done a few and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know if this is my thing. But that's impressive because you said it was, and when you were lying in that hospital bed, HGTV looked good. And here's this Craigslist ad. So that's pretty cool that you have that knack for that. So I'm excited to talk about some of the other things that you've done. So you have the $30,000, you're making it,
Yeah.
your Jada's growing.
Yes. She's growing. She's in all the pictures. She's helping me to get my social media because she's super cute. And they're like, oh, the super cute kid is, holding paint cans or something. So
That's
yeah.
so cool.
But don't learn from HGTV. Don't do it.
No.
Don't make decisions off of HGTV. But
If it could only be that easy.
right. Yeah, they take all of the sunshine and rainbows and put it on for you, and then they take all of the ugly stuff away.
Yeah, and they
Like,
never lose money. It's all
never. They never lose money. Never. So but yeah, I had a lot of success between the second deal to, I would say, the seventh deal. Super successful. My eighth deal was another flop. I felt like I, at this point, was getting a little bit excited and was doing too much to pay attention to things. It was another situation to where I bought in the wrong area.
okay.
Did not follow the signs that we're taught. And the thing is that we know what to do if we pay attention to our education. And I did not pay attention. And I was just going. I was like, oh, okay, here's another deal. Here's another property, blah, 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 blah. And I was just buying and renovating and reselling as quickly as I possibly could because it feels great when you're getting that paycheck at the closing table. And I was like, I want another one and another one and another one. So
Yeah.
my eighth deal was one that I said that I call my slow me down deal because it did not do well. That house got broken into 5 times
Oh my gosh.
while I had it, and I was over it. I was like, why does this keep happening to me? It was so bad that I ended up becoming friends with the local police department.
Oh,
I was like, hey, it's me again.
no.
Candice, yeah, nice to talk to you again. So I was very, very discouraged when it came to that eighth deal. But again, also ready to give up again. I did not. I wanted to fail forward. I took a break. That was right when I was getting ready to shift from Indiana to Georgia.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out what's the best moves to make. I ended up reselling that property back to the lenders, again, structuring the contract properly. I talked to the lenders. I found out what it is that they were looking for, what they needed. All of what they needed basically was wrapped into the deal itself or into the property itself. So I lost all of my blood, sweat, and tears for that property, but I learned so much. That property, if anybody follows me on Facebook, was the one property that I built doors for. I learned how to be a carpenter. I built my own doors. I built 9. I never built doors before in my entire life, and I built doors. My daughter was in there and she was scraping up the floor linoleum, sorry, for that property. We turned the basement level into it like an owner suite. It was amazing. So it ended up being an amazing flip once it was done, but I walked away with nothing but my, learning what to do or what not to do.
Right.
They did end up selling it, which was great. The owners that are in there now, they've secured the property and they love it. Like it was a beautiful home. It was just in the wrong area at the time. They
Right.
have now gentrified the area, so it's good now. But
Good.
at the time when I bought it, it was the wrong area. So it did slow me down. I ended up shifting. It was right around COVID time, from Indiana to Georgia.
Now,
And
what makes you come to Georgia? I don't know if I ever known that. Do you have family there, or
I
you just
do
wanted to come
not.
hang out with me?
I wanted to come hang out with you, exactly, and Bill. Like I actually say to people all the time that my biggest mentors lived in Georgia and they were doing fantastic. So I
Um,
wanted to come and be next to my mentors who's doing fantastic. I
aw,
don't have family here. I've kind of built family. I have a wonderful boyfriend and his family supports me. And that's great. And I've built individuals just being part of different communities and everything that I
right.
would say, though, that's my sister, from another mister, but
Yeah.
she supports me or he supports me. So I don't have any, I do have two blood cousins that's here, but they're doing their own thing. So I don't see them very often. So it's just me and Jada and the dog who's now sitting at my feet.
Aw. That's so see, you're even taking after your mentor, Bill Omi, like that. He has dogs at his feet too. So,
Oh yeah, see? Gotta be like Bill Omi.
right, right. So it's because
Yeah.
it's due to Bill Omi that you moved to Georgia,
Yes,
sort of.
sort of. Yes, yes. And
That's
I
awesome.
started jumping into things that I wasn't really ready for, or thought that I was ready for.
Right.
Um, I was looking for flips to immediately get into, and I ended up stumbling across land. And I was going to wholesale the land because I know how to wholesale. And I have this really cool and very blunt real estate attorney that told me if I get rid of that land, he was going to quit. And I was like, what does that mean? He said, you need to build on that land and make it work for yourself. And I said, I am not a builder. I am not a developer. I have no idea what to do with this land. And he said, ask questions. And he hung up on me. Like, what kind of attorney is this? He's awful. So I, of course, started talking to people. I was like, well, I don't know how to develop land. I am a fix and flipper. You
Yeah.
give me an ugly house and I can make it pretty, or I can wholesale a property, or I can even wholesale this land. And people kept trying to buy the land from me, but I didn't know what to do. So I started talking to individuals that were connected to the county directly, the ones that says, yes, approved for this, this land to be built or no.
Right.
Um, and I built a friendship with someone that works in that department that actually approves those documents. So she was telling me how I can find developers and who to talk to. So I started talking to a lot of developers and I was just really transparent with them. And I said, hey, my name is Candice. I am a fix and flipper and a wholesaler, and I have no idea how to build a property, but we have this land. And if you build for me, I will keep you employed. And they said, okay. So I did my due diligence. Of course, it wasn't that easy, but I did do my due diligence. And we started working together. And I just learned from these guys, these developers that was able to build the properties for me and just telling them, I have no idea. So I'm asking questions and just learning from them as they're building the properties. I found this really, really awesome architect. He is absolutely amazing, do stunning work. He started in California and now he's here in Georgia. And he just lets me know, like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this your castle. And the way that he talks is like, okay, here's my sunshine and rainbows, but what's the catch? But long story short, we built my very first new construction property starting oh my gosh, we broke ground in February of 2021 and I sold it in March of 2022. And it is a almost 7,000 square foot, 3-story property
Wow.
that I invested in. I bought the land, of course, and then the material. And after paying everybody, I was able to profit $800,000 off of this one,
Wow.
just one. Now I'm currently building a lot more because I'm like, oh, this is a new niche that I still am learning about. But
Right.
that one property got me so much profit that I was like, this has gotta be the way to go. It was so easy. And I shouldn't say easy, like, oh yeah, everybody gets into building new properties, but it was a lot easier than opening up a wall of a fix and flip
Right.
and
Or
finding
building the
all of the
door.
crud. Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Oh, my worst fix and flip, the whole back wall of the house fell through. It was so rotted and disgusting. It had dry rot and what's those little bugs that eat the wood?
The
Uh,
termites?
The termite, yeah, termite damage. Sorry, like this cold is making my brain go off.
Yeah.
So it had so much dry rot and termite damage that me and my contractor were standing there and he said, oh, this wall is going to have to be reconstructed. And he patted the wall and the whole wall just fell to the ground. And we stood there probably a good minute and just looked out to the backyard. And then I was like, I think that we need to get started today and go get some
Yeah.
lumber. And he said, yeah, we need to secure this property. So, but it was literally the entire wall just
Wow.
fell because it was so rotted out. Those are the nice, ugly properties that I like to flip.
Yeah. Yes, that's amazing. I know what you mean. I did one new construction project in Beaufort, Georgia, and it's totally different than a rehab or flip. So that's awesome. So you're now doing, how many more are you working on?
Okay, so with the first purchase of the land, it was a split land. So it was
Mhm.
an acre in East Cobb, and then it was another acre in West Cobb
Okay.
County, Cobb County of Georgia, for
Right.
those that are not in Georgia.
Mhm.
um, and the I built one structure on the 1 acre because I wasn't able to subdivide. Unfortunately, it was just not knowing. I had
Yeah.
no idea the importance of when you buy land to find out what you can and cannot do with it. So I
Right.
just built one huge house on that property, which was amazing. Again, it's absolutely stunning. And then the second land I built, well, I started with 3 properties, and then there was another investor that ended up buying 3 other lots in that same neighborhood that ended up sending those lots to me, or I ended up buying him out of those
Okay.
lots. So it was 6 more properties that I built in a neighboring area. So it was a total of 7 in the very beginning that I started with. I've
Okay.
now just sold the 1 property. I have 2 more that are getting ready to sell. They're actually under contract and ready to go to closing this month. And then the other ones are being finished up. We did hit quite a bit of delays because of COVID and everything, which happens.
Yeah.
So they were supposed to be done. All of them were supposed to be done by now, but they're not. And
Yeah.
getting some delays, unfortunately. But I'm working through that.
Nice.
Yes.
So in between, when you first got to Atlanta, you bought a home pretty quickly, right? And I think I've seen posts that you're practicing velocity banking on
Yeah.
your own home. And you also have, I know you said you had that first rental that was your first deal so how many other rentals do you have? Or do you have do you have long-term rentals, short-term rentals, or did you just go straight into the new construction?
Yeah, so I do have one rental that's doing amazing right now. I learned the bill only way with setting that up as a lease option. So they're going to be buying that property. It's supposed to be the end of this year. They're going to be buying that property from me. They're on track. We've helped them with building their credit and everything, just based off of the things that I've learned through the community. I've regurgitated that to them, my tenants, and they've been able to bring their credit score up from like a 500 something to like a 760 or 770. So they are doing an amazing job. They're going to be buying me out this year, which is going to help tremendously. So that's one property. I'm
Nice.
actually doing rental properties right now for the US government. So the United States military needed support. And since I am a veteran and I love to support my fellow veterans or even active duty soldiers, I really I try and find out how I can support them in what I know.
Right.
So I ended up connecting with the government, starting here in Georgia and providing rental properties for them. And we kind of have, I wouldn't say a contract, but an agreement to where if I choose a property and fix it up to where they, whatever their standards are, they immediately can bring in a soldier and start renting it out. So that's immediate passive income for the rest of life. And I think that's amazing because what we want to do is get to a place to where we're enjoying our family and enjoying life without having to work for it. And this is going to help me to get there, as well as make me feel good with helping the military families out with finding a nice rental property, either short term or long term, that they can live in.
That is
Um,
awesome. I think we can
yeah.
start calling you a value creator, like we call Bill Omi. That's pretty high praise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
And I do have some short-term rentals as well. I have 7 that are active right now. They're all doing very, very well. I have none that are in Georgia yet. I It's not that I haven't wanted to. I've just been so spaced. I've been very, very busy. But the ones that I do have are in like North Carolina and Texas, South Carolina, and Florida. So they're doing really well. I've hardly ever been to them and they stay booked up. Location is key. So I did learn
Right.
that making sure you have the right location, the right type of pictures to show, um, and then just keeping it to where they're going to be feeling comfortable can keep you, full. Can keep your
Right.
property full. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I have a couple in Georgia, and just the system, the cleaning, the people, the team. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we'll be excited to hear about the new construction project. And I know one of the things I want to touch on is people that know me know that I like the creative acquisition side. I've done a lot of subject to deals. I think you've done some as well.
Mhm.
Um, that's so powerful. I'll never forget the first time I took the creative acquisitions class, and literally my mouth was on the floor. My jaw was like, what? So, yes.
Isn't it
uh,
crazy? Like I can
yeah, I was like, is this for real? Like, so yes, so that's amazing. You have done so many amazing things. And one of the inspiring things that I'm hearing, and I've seen some of the pictures, I didn't know you when Jada was little, but um, just the pictures of her and what is she learning? Wow, let's fast forward about 20 years. What's she going to be telling us? Like she's
I'm hoping she's picking it up. Yeah, I've tried to encourage her to build her own business, and for a minute she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm all about it." But she's still really young. She wants to play a
yes.
lot, and she's like, I don't want to make t-shirts or bracelets or, you know." So I still encourage her, to show her that, mommy's job is not really the ideal job. There was a career day at her school, and she was telling me about all the other career individuals that had came in and everything. And then here I come. And I'm like, yeah, I work like 10 to 20 hours a week and I make 6 figures and I build houses and blah, blah, blah. And, kids are like, oh, wow. And she was telling me about the other moms and dads that were coming in and how they work longer hours and they do all these things and everybody seems to have a computer. I'm like, you know, everything's not ideal here, but we make it work to where I'm pretty much on track to being able to retire myself in the next 3 years and have enough passive income to survive off of for the rest of our lives with, with the what we're doing. And that's great. I want to be able to choose to do real estate so that I can choose to help other people the way that I was needing the help when I first came in.
Right.
That's why I want to get to a position to retire myself so that I can be a support system to others. Because there's a
Right.
lot of people out here and they can learn what they can learn, but if they don't have the hands-on help, they end up falling or feeling like they're failing. And
Right.
I don't want that for others. And I know how I felt. I even feel it sometimes, throughout my normal life today, that
Yeah.
I'm failing. I need some help. Who do I
I
call?
know. I
I
know.
want to be able to be of service to other individuals. So that's where I am right now.
Thank you for that transparency. I really appreciate you sharing just all of it with us. It's super powerful. And when you were mentioning back in the beginning, when you had to go back to work, not that I want to, bring that up again, but just the fact there's so many working women and men out there that is just with a child. That's a huge issue in America, really.
Oh yeah.
Just the cost of daycare, struggling, the time just to put into. I remember as a working parent and bath and homework and oh my God, is this ever going to end? And then you get up in the morning, do it all again. So
Hmm.
very impressed that you worked your way through that. And so we have kind of glossed over not, but just to make sure we put all the puzzle pieces of the puzzle together is what I like to do on these events. And so last year, when you were diagnosed with brain cancer, I mean, you're rolling along, you come to Georgia because your mentor, Bill Omi, was there. No, I'm kidding. And then you're like, okay, what? Like,
Yeah. I had just broke ground on my very first new construction property, and then I got hit with brain cancer. And I was devastated. I didn't know what to do, what to plan, how to live life, or if I was even going to be able to live life. I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. Um, I started immediately trying to figure out how things would work for my daughter. Um, like putting things into trust because I didn't know much about the importance of trust. But if
right,
I died, then what happens to my assets and what happens to my daughter? So of course she's my biggest cheerleader and sometimes my biggest headache, but I love her to death and I want to make sure that she's taken care of.
right,
So, but it was super scary because I was going through all of this trauma at once, all by myself. The military did not take care of me at all. I thought that I was going to be covered with insurance and I wasn't. And it was heartbreaking to say, hey, here I am, this six-figure income earner of real estate, but I need financial help to take care of my medical bills. And I started a GoFundMe. And to be able to receive so much support from people I did not know. They knew me because of real estate or they knew about me because of my story. And they were like, here's $50, here's $100, here's $200 to help you with your insurance so that you can get the proper cancer care. I
right.
was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But just that, like I spent days just laying in bed, just trying to figure out what I should do or if I should give up. And with people calling and I was receiving notes in the mail and stuff like that of encouraging letters, it helped me to get up and keep going. Um, I gave up on myself. I gave up on life. I was ready to send my daughter to my parents and have them take care of her because I was like, I'm done. I mean, what worse can you get is brain cancer.
I don't know. Wow.
And the year before that, my aunt had passed away of the exact same brain cancer. So
Oh
I knew
gosh.
that I was done. So it was awful. It was an awful experience. But I was able to come through it. So I was with the support of so many people on, just giving me funds so I can get the right kind of insurance. I got up, I started fighting the military and saying, hey, you guys dropped me out of a helicopter, and this is the same area that I now have this brain cancer at. So try and figure out how you can help me so I can get the proper insurance. So I fought with them, and it took months of them doing all kinds of studies and trying to figure out like if it's correlated with my injuries from the military. Finally, like I said, September of last year, they said, yeah, we think that it may be a connection of some sort. They still didn't tell me exactly how, but they
Right.
ended up giving me 100% disability, which helped with the insurance.
Right.
The insurance was able to then start paying me back. I'm still not completely paid up, but I paid over $35,000 of cash for medical bills just for my cancer treatments. And I still, to date, I mean, every month I still have to go and seek the cancer specialist and get treatment and everything just to mitigate the headaches and migraines and stuff. But even with that, I still keep pushing forward.
Right.
It may be slow, it may not be the way that I want it to be, but I still keep getting up and saying, God gave me another day, so let's just make it the best and keep moving forward. And my why, I have a picture of my daughter in front of me, and it's like, this is my why. I have to keep moving for her. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing all of this. I'm sure that we have people out there with questions. We've got about 13 minutes. And if we can be, if you guys want to come off mute or raise your hand, we'll try to get everyone's questions in. While maybe they're thinking of a question, I mean, I just want to ask you, what would you say to somebody getting started now? I mean, let's pray that somebody's not going to fall out of a helicopter. They're not going to get brain cancer. I mean, come on, like they just might be waking up going, I don't even know what to do. I mean, so what would you say? I know you said don't give up, and that's the best advice.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I definitely would say to ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Any question. There's no question that's a stupid question. It may sound stupid to you, but it's not a stupid question. And someone's going to be able to support you. If I can't support you, or if Debbie can't support you, or if Bill can't support you, somebody can be able to figure out who to connect you with that can answer those questions and support you through everything. Don't rely on YouTube.
yeah,
Don't rely on YouTube. It's important to not rely on YouTube.
yes,
It's set up to make you fail. So it's going to be one of the things that I've been learning is manifesting the good. Think positive, speak positive, remember your why, and ask questions. So
I
don't know.
love that. No, that's huge. That's huge. Manifestation, not giving up. I appreciate all of that. Does anyone have a question?
Hi, this is Carrie Williams.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
How is everybody? Good. So Candice, I know, thank you for sharing your story, because up until a very short time ago, I was a single mom, and I'm in my early 40s, and just been in real estate for just a little while, and so your story just resonates with me, because I have been trying so hard to be the buyer's agent or the seller's agent, because I have my license, and I've just farming and burnt out, and I know that I want to invest in real estate, and I know that's just like, I'm very drawn to that. So my question for you would be, for somebody just getting into this and just getting started with the program, like I have the essentials right now, what are like the first 3 steps that you would recommend to somebody getting into this? Like, as far as what's the first class that you would recommend? What is something that the focus that you would focus on, what would you focus on first?
So you're in a very unique situation. You're an agent that's also connected to investors. You have the opportunity to bridge the gap. You can be both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent for one investor. Connect with those investors and let them know what your specialty is, that you can provide them with those off-market deals and be able to sell them that property, of course, and then be able to then sell their property on the back end. So you want to connect those dots, or bridge that gap.
So,
then-
so I guess like, sorry to cut you off, but,
ahead.
you know, that's what I have been doing. And I do have investors that I have as clients, but I'm trying to switch from that angle of it to learning more about how to obtain investment properties for myself.
Mhm.
The velocity banking, you know, how to use somebody else's money to gain property, that kind of thing. Instead of having clients, I don't mind having clients. I don't mind having investor clients that I help, but I will tell you, it is draining because, you know, you put in 15 offers, none of them are accepted because they're all quote unquote lowball offers. So for somebody that wants to actually get into it for themselves instead of helping somebody else, such as an investor, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So have you started your LLC?
Yes, I've had my LLC for a few months.
Okay, got it. So, okay, doing the LLC, doing Mark Kohler's classes, have you started with that as well?
No, I have not.
Okay, so Mark Kohler's classes, are amazing, of course. And you want to know what it is to do with that LLC or incorporation and how it can start benefiting you with your current income. I always tell people to start with Mark Kohler's classes and then go into the velocity banking classes, because everybody has bills. It could be good debt, it could be bad debt, but you have debt of some sort.
Okay.
So and then also sending that information to other individuals as well. If people are asking you what it is that you're doing, communicate that you're learning how to pay off your mortgage in half the time or something like that. Communicate that you've learned how to build your LLC, and how it's going to work for your family and your children and things like that. The velocity banking has helped me so much that the house that I live in right now, I've owned it now for a year, but my mortgage is paid up for 9 years, just based off of the velocity banking techniques. And it's not by me putting a whole lot of money into it. It's just by the techniques of showing me how I can become my own bank. Instead of putting that interest into the bank, it's now coming back into me and I'm rolling it back into the mortgage.
Well,
So,
I mean, I appreciate that because I have a fiance now and we're getting married
congratulations.
next month.
Yay. I hope I'm
but
invited to the wedding.
we are in the process right now of purchasing our first house, which we hope to have as an investment property in a few years. So this is, I mean, I really want to focus on the velocity banking too, on that aspect of how we can pay off our mortgage.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's going to be amazing. See if you guys can set that up with putting it into your business account or put it into your business name. Your home can be in your LLC name, not in your personal name. That helps with your credit. It helps you to build business credit as well. If you have a car and you currently have a car note, you could put that car into your business name, and that can help with building your business credit. You can use your business as leveraging other loans, for even personal use if you need to.
Oh, thank you for that. That's right now I have my car as in my business, but it's not in my business name, but I have it wrapped. So it is a business expense.
Okay.
But you know, I'd never even thought about putting it into my business name.
Absolutely. Yeah, as much things as you can get out of your personal name, that will help to build, basically it helps to build both your personal and your business credit. So look at the Eric Counts understanding credit as well. That's in your essentials. Maybe do Mark Kohler first, understanding credit second. You don't have to have bad credit to understand credit. And velocity banking, of course. Those are my top 3.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you so much. Love your story. Yeah.
Thank you for supporting.
Thank you for the questions, Carrie. Do we have any other questions?
Hey, I have a question. Well, I don't have a question. Let me see if I can get the video. There it is.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
This is-
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You're on
Oh,
mute.
you're muted. You gotta unmute yourself.
There it is.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to be here to support the team and Candice on her debut of expressing her mogulism in the world. And I just wanted to say hey and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Hopefully
No.
that's gonna be my future uncle right there.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting all
Absolutely.
of us. Thanks for your comments.
Yes, absolutely.
I
Certainly.
think
I
you
have to
too. I think Sandra, did you have a question?
Yes, I think, oh my God, I didn't expect this to be as good as it is. Oh my God, the story is fantastic. You know, every time that we meet somebody in the community and, oh my God, Candace, a military person, a woman, a single woman with a baby is just, how old is your daughter now?
She is 10 and she
Oh
started
my
working
God.
with me when she was only 3 years old. So she's known
She's
ins and outs about properties.
Yes, yes, because we started as she was a baby and now she's 10. So you've been in the community for 10 years. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. So my question in through the whole thing, and the one that kind of stuck to me is you were talking that you made $7,000 on a deal, and the mistakes that you made on that contract is what made you look better into contracts, because I've done that. I mean, in my life, it's like, oh, signing a dotted line, and I ended up in a 15-year lease. So it's like, yes,
Oh, wow.
things like that happen. What parts of the contract you wouldn't do anymore that that you learned through that process?
Well, one thing is make sure you're doing your due diligence. Check that contract with an attorney. I did not do that. I did not take it to an attorney. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if I really read the contract. I was just so excited about doing something with people that wanted to do something with me, and they had the funds and we were on the same page. And I was like, all right, let's just sign it. So looking at it with your real estate attorney is super, super important, because your attorney is going to know things or see red flags that you may not even notice. So if you don't have a real estate attorney, start Googling real estate attorneys in your area, or communicate with people of the community that they may have a real estate attorney that they can refer to you. There's not all good real estate attorneys, but most of them will be able to say, hey, this is something to look out for, or maybe they can change this verbiage to that. Don't be so quick to sign. That's one of the mistakes that I made. It's just, I was so quick to sign because I thought I was going to lose the deal or lose the opportunity. And that's not the case. So take your time, pick through that contract with your attorney. And then if it looks good, you guys can sign together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sandra. So
This is Carrie Williams. Sorry, I just have one more question, Candice. So you said that you were putting about 15 to 20 hours a week into what you're doing. When you first got started, was there a slow progression of where you were working, say 50 to 60, and then now you're doing 15 to 20? Like, what have you been consistent about that? What's your, because I want to have a good work-life balance where I'm able to spend time with my new husband and my kid and all of that. So how did you, when you first got started, where were you at in that aspect?
Actually, I think I first started with about 10 to 12 hours. I started slower for a couple of reasons. One, I did not trust the system. I did not trust that this was going to work for me. And I didn't want to put my heart and soul into something that wasn't going to work. But as I started working with individuals of the community, I realized that it does work. So I went from maybe about 10 hours to max 20 hours. And I've been consistent with about 20 hours or so throughout the years as an investor. But it's more so of setting up your systems to where things are working for itself. The calls, emails, even your social media, there's ways of setting that up with our systems so that it works itself and you don't have to think about it. You may spend 2 or 3 hours on a Sunday night setting up your reels or your memes or even your Facebook posts, and it just does it itself. So you're not doing it, you're putting in the 3 hours on Sunday, but you're not spending an hour every single day on social media or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, okay, so yeah, I have Hootsuite, and so you can schedule posts and all that kind of stuff. But okay, yeah, I was just curious, does that include your wholesaling? Does that include that time that you put into that?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Carrie. I think we have time. Well, we're out of time, but we can take one more question. And then we will tie this up. Is there any other question that anyone is just dying to ask?
I have a question. This is Estelle.
Hi,
And I had typed it in the chat, but Candice, are you managing your properties yourself, or do you have a property manager?
So the properties that are outside of Georgia, they are all being managed by property management companies. I have set them all up so that I can be able to access the information pretty easy through those companies or their platforms, and I can see what's going on, but usually they're run by a company.
Thanks.
thank you, Estelle. LaShawn, do you have a question? We'll take one more.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I'm just amazed at Candice and her life. I mean, you meet someone, and I've typed it in the chat. What an incredible story and an amazing inspiration to others. So thank you for doing this, Debbie. I appreciate it, and thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for your service, Candice.
Thank you, LaShawn. Miss you.
Awesome. No, this is what we do.
Thank you,
We
Candice.
serve each other. So Candice has given us her time today, and we do this once a month. So Janetta, did you have a quick question?
Not a question, just a comment. I thank Candice for inviting me, and just the short time I've met her in another real estate group and communicating with her, and now to hear her story even fully. I'm a veteran as well, so we connected on that level, and I want to learn all I can, and she would be the first, definitely perfect mentor. So I just appreciate being on here and getting this good information, and just her story is amazing. I'm so inspired. Thank you, Candice.
Liz, thank you for joining us.
Janetta's amazing. She's off and running. I love that I'm able to be around her and support her through her endeavors. She's so great.
Isn't that what it's all about? That's so amazing. I really appreciate you
thank you.
joining us this morning, because sometimes we all wake up with, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't even know. Can I continue? What do I do next? And, I can speak for myself. Again, I've not served our country. I've not fallen out of a helicopter, and I have not had brain cancer. So what is my problem? So, and I think the majority of us could say that on this line. So thank you for being so willing to share, and thank you for being so transparent with the struggles, because there are struggles. There's struggles and there's reward, and it's just very enlightening. And this is why we do this every month, Team TGIF, because it just fills our cup and fills our heart. We love the stories, and we really appreciate you sharing with us. And for those of you that don't know, we have something that we call a wealth cycle that we all, not all of us, but a lot of us participate in. So you may want to ask the person that invited you to this meeting, what is that? And how can you help others along those lines as well? So we are going to, again, we're going to wrap up, but I want to invite you guys back to learn more about us, learn more about Candice, learn more about the person that invited you here. We have a property tour at 11:30. We do Bill Omi, our resident instructor for our team. He's on our team, guys. He talks to everybody else, but he's on our team. I have to just brag with that. And
Tuesday night, deal or no deal.
exactly. You knew where I was going. How valuable is that an actual instructor will sit there and look at a deal? It doesn't matter if you're part of the community or not. That's what we do, is we serve each other. That's why we have this event. So, do what you can to vet us out more. And then Candice, are you going to bring Jada next Saturday to the multifamily event?
I can.
I
Did you
want to
want me
see
to?
her. Do you think she'd
Okay.
be bored? That's an amazing building we're going to be in, so we'll find plenty of things for her to do.
Okay, I'll bring her along.
All right, yay. So
I have a question, real quick, kind of off topic, but I think there's a deal or no deal class, right?
we offer that on Tuesdays,
On
yes.
Tuesdays, yeah. Just curious, how would we submit, a deal to be considered for that class as time goes on?
Just come into the event. You could message me. Sometimes I'll have people let me know in advance. We take the deals first come, first serve. And so if we get a lot, I have to hurry Bill along sometimes and say, no, we've got 5 more waiting. But we try to serve everyone. So just join us on Tuesday. Look on the calendar under Worthington and you'll find Deal or No Deal. And Bill will be happy to look at it with you and some other senior investors. We all get on there. So
Yeah, Candice,
Is it
why don't
just-
you come and host Deal or No Deal some night?
You know what? I promise Bill I will be there on Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday and Saturday. Oh my God.
Tuesday and Saturday. Okay.
We'll either go deal or no deal.
And a boom. That's a boom.
Yeah, I need to bring some deals.
Yeah. So thank you again. You guys have an amazing Saturday. We appreciate all of you that have joined us. Again, I feel like my cup got filled up today. So I'll see you next week. And if you have any questions, just reach out to the person that put you here. And if you want, I don't have the property tour link. Does anybody have that? Kiva, do you have it? I don't know if you guys want to join the property. If you do, just get back with the person that invited you. It's live in Orlando and online. Otherwise, I'll see you on Tuesday night. Have a blessed and amazing weekend. And I'll see those of you in Atlanta. I will see you in Atlanta next Saturday with our multifamily people. So take care. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.